So this is an interesting one. We've seen the heavy weights go down to campaign for the candidates, especially seeing Raila there, seeing the president, the deputy president as well. High stakes, this one, Ambrose, wouldn't you say?
Very high. First of all, for JAP, if the party, JAP as a party misses this one, it will have a direct impact on the traction that the new party gets. Because there are people in TNA, there are people who are in URP who are resisting the new party. They do not want it. So if it was to fail here, then it would be like, we told you, this thing is not picking up. That is number one. Number two, if CORD was to pick this, it would be a big slap on the president, especially after elevating the MP to cabinet and so on. So the stakes are very high. On the other hand, CORD would be saying, you can see we are still very popular. We are taking this thing in 2017.
Yes.
So the stakes are very high. And those of us on the Jubilee side, we are praying that we give CORD a landslide so that they can keep quiet. But if they were to get it, there will be celebration here along Mombasa Road. You will see them. You will see the senator here carrying his own people jumping.
Senator, as you, Wayne, this has been an interesting one to watch even before we got to this particular day, because for Memusi, initially in ODM, then TNA, then lost the JAP nominations, decamped, went back to ODM, received by a heavy delegation that have also been keen to campaign for him. What do you see as the issues that will decide how this vote goes?
You know, for us, it's a question of how governments must be run. You look at it holistically. We believe, and I think it's a feeling across the country, that apart from a few pockets of Jubilee strongholds, that Jubilee has lost the moral authority to lead the country. It has, in fact, particularly in its inclusivity, it has failed dismally. We do not believe that having one Masai in cabinet represents representation to Masais. I just heard Michael Gitonga saying, after all, Nkaiseri himself had not delivered on his own promise. And therefore, what makes us believe that he will deliver as a cabinet secretary? And is that really...
One would argue he was still mid his term, he did not complete it.
Absolutely, but you see, Waswahili kuambia dalili ya moto there's a cloud that forms. And therefore, so for us, as far as we're concerned, it is this thing of Jubilee extending one cabinet secretary, a board member, and rather than extend programs for development. So therefore, what we are trying to say is that development or party loyalty or support must be pegged on a program of transformation. And what we see here, you go take all the core positions in government, you do everything that defeats the constitutional imperative that you need to regionally balance a country or appointments into public service. Then you poach in Kaiseri, and then say, now assume that now the people of Kajiado Central are all lovey-dovey with you. So for us, what we're saying is the moral message that governments must not be allowed to decimate oppositions. Opposition are legitimate institutions recognized under the Constitution. They offer accountability to government. Weakening opposition by whatever allegations that we have, whatever kinds of onslaughts that we have, is not a solution. When you want to weaken the opposition, go with a program of transformation. So you're
saying the elevation of Nkaiseri was weakening opposition?
What it is trying to do, if you look at what Jubilee is doing, it is to go take Nkaiseri and say, now the Messiahs are coming to us. Go negotiate with some people you call cost rebels and say, now you see we are making inroads in the cost. And in fact, the only thing is that they don't have as many cabinet positions to offer everybody.
On the question of Nkaiseri, just before I come back to Weda, he was one of the, I think, 3 or 4 ODM members that accompanied Uhuru to The Hague when he went for that appearance. So in terms of his politics, yes, he was in ODM, but his heart was already in that other side. So is that him being poached or him already having made up his mind way before time that he was already on the other side?
Thank you very much. In fact, we keep saying Nkaiseri was in Jubilee well before.
Yeah, so he's not been poached. So this is not an issue of government trying to take. He's already moved.
Poached in this sense.
Yeah.
In fact, I also read in the social in the media mainstream that at one point Olelenko had said that Nkaiseri wanted his job. You must have seen that too. And I think what happens is immediately people who do not know how to survive in the opposition. You know, in the opposition requires a bit of grit. It requires gravity. It requires for you to have to be very innovative, to continue to keep the relevance. These are men who have served in the military. After coming out of the military, they get into a government under the former arrangement. You become an assistant minister, hoping at some point you'll be minister. Then you attempt again. And many of these forces who appear to be rebelling against the mainstream court politics is because they were not withered in the opposition school. They do not know how to survive in the opposition, so they have been thrown in some kind of disarray. So what you do now is to bring all these broad notions how you're cooperating with government. In fact, one funny thing, let me just to conclude. When I remember some Jubilee members went and campaigned in Kajiado, wakawambia in Kiswahili, sasa mtaka muwe kwa serikali. And you know what the response was from the Kajiado voters? Hata tukipigia huyo Musa anaweza kufanya kazi na Nkaiseri, kwani Daniel alikuwa tayari anafanya kazi na Nkaiseri. It doesn't matter where you stand. It just means how you position yourself.
It doesn't matter.
So I think for us, I think it's a legitimate cause. It wants to locate, and I'm wishing Elijah Musa my very best. I think it is important for at least in terms of that moral coup and to defend the constitution, to ensure that we elect him to that.